Interface Video presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fairhope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and the Frankie Smith Funeral Home.
Hi, and welcome to Fairfield Today. My name is Rick Snyder, community educator with Fairhope Hospice and Palliative Care, and joining me is our world-famous CEO, Denise Bauer. Denise?
World famous, Rick?
Yeah, well, if you get on Facebook, actually it broadcasts.
Oh, that's what it is.
Look at the
Okay.
bright side, yeah.
Well, you're world famous too, you know.
We're like an equal famous world.
We are.
And we're worldly, but we do have quite a show
Yes,
coming
we
up
do.
today. And would you care to introduce everybody?
Sure,
You know,
I'd love to.
I get confused.
So I have Ricky Chenault to my right, and she is our development manager. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks.
And then we have Ron Rowley, and he is our director of human resources with us. So
Thank you, Denise.
looking quite dapper today with his bow tie.
bow tie.
So we wanted to include him on our program as well. So we've got a lot of great things to talk about.
Yeah,
You did?
and I feel like chopped liver. I got the old-fashioned tie on here. Ron's being a trendsetter, so
It's all good.
yeah. But yeah, being the end of the year, a lot of we do talk about development. We have the year coming up, and then there's
Sure.
also year-end giving. So
Yes.
there's a lot going on. So do you have what cooking as far as the year-end giving?
As far as year-end giving, yes. Well, during the year, we see hundreds of patients. And many times they want to say thank you because we have such a phenomenal staff here.
Absolutely.
And, I say over and over and over again, and you've heard me say it many times, they make my job so easy because they give such wonderful care. And it's always the same story, just different names put in there. So at the end of the year, a lot of times people will be thinking about charities, they think about things that have happened to them this year, and they want an opportunity to give back. And so we hope that they would consider Fairhope when they're thinking about their holiday gifts. So
Well, kind of a tie-in, Denise. Ricky was talking about our staff, and Ron's the one that hires them. So you must have done a pretty good job there,
Okay.
He does a great job.
Yeah.
And we do have a great staff. I mean, from the admin side all the way through clinical. Very blessed to work with the fine people here at Fairhope.
Absolutely, and I know in the interview process, it's not necessarily the resume. We do need the medical background or the skills that they're hiring for, but there's also that invisible, the feeling of empathy.
Well, they talk about hiring for culture, and I think that, Ron, definitely our staff reflect that.
And it's an important part. It's an important chemistry when you're looking at that and when you're talking with prospective hires that, frankly, many of them have had a hospice experience, whether it's been an immediate family member, maybe it's been, a grandparent or even a neighbor where they've had that experience where they've been touched, lost, or had a very positive experience with hospice and with Fairhope particularly.
I know it's very prevalent with our volunteer group, and many of the nurses and social workers come from the nursing home environment as well, where they understand death and dying and the dynamics of family. So it really is. It's a good bunch of people. We have a lot of seniority, and I've been here a while. You've been here a while, and I don't plan on leaving.
Right. Well, and I think, it takes years to develop a good culture. And I think we're there. I mean, we've done surveys of our staff, and we've had outside consultation that have surveyed our staff, and they're always they're good surveys. I mean, they feel, there's always room to improve, and that's one thing we strive to do. But overall, I mean, people come here with a mission in their heart, and they're here to serve, really. It's a servant's heart here. So, everyone, they need money. I mean, people have to work to live and
And you have to have
survive.
benefits. Yeah.
Right, but yet, on the other hand, this is more than just a job to most people here,
calling.
and it shows.
Well, and I think a lot of people, whether they're on the clinical side doing what they do, because, I kind of joke and say you couldn't pay me enough to do what they do, but people are called to do that. But, even when you're doing the kind of work, nonprofit work, people do not come into nonprofit work to make big bucks. It just isn't there. I've done this all my life, believe me, I know. But it is always something that they do it because the mission is something that calls to them, something that they can support. And our staff is no different. And this year, well, last year we did our first annual giving campaign with our staff. Now, the staff have been very generous in past years when we've done building projects, but this was the first time we asked them to support something that wasn't bricks and mortar. And being in this business as long as I have, I know that 20% giving with employees is a good showing. Last year we had 65% giving,
amazing.
and it was amazing, and everyone got behind it. They decided they wanted to support our families even more than what we're doing now. So they wanted to start a fund that would support the families outside of what our mission is. What directly affects our mission. So we started the Fairhope Family Fund, and that fund goes to help our patients and their families, whether it's travel or food or some of those things that you may not have the money for, because when you're in this situation, your situation doesn't change, but you want to be there, and you want your family there, and you want the out-of-town people to be able to come in. So this fund makes that available through our employees. And so this year we did it again, and we did another 60+% so far giving. And right now we're doing Penny Wars, which is always something fun. Penny Wars is we put the admin against clinical. Last year, clinical edged us out just a little bit, and so this year we're hoping to win the trophy. And so the Penny Wars are going on right now, and it's always just so nice to see how much our staff support what we do, what they do.
And it's fun, admin is administration against the medical staff, and we get along famously, and it is.
Oh, except during the
good
Penny
humor.
Wars.
Yeah. Then, here go the gloves.
That's right. Gloves come
I
off.
think, Rick, you bring up a great point in that, people are giving of their time and their talents all the time. But then to actually give money to help those in need, means a lot. And our frontline staff are the ones out there. They're in the homes, they're in the facilities, they see the needs these families have. And, a lot of what we do at Fairhope is above and beyond our reimbursement anyway.
Oh, gosh.
Which is why we utilize a lot of the monies that we get from fundraisers and, our development program to help offset those costs. But this is even above and beyond that. Because this actually helps families. Being a family fund, it helps families, as well. So, I think it's extraordinary to have an organization that wants to give like that.
Ron, I guess it's a silly question, but do the pay scale come into the interview process?
Absolutely, it does. And there's different times for that. I mean, sometimes it's right up front, and other times it's towards the end, because the prospective employee wants to know what that culture is and what are the things that they're going to do. And sometimes it's just filling that void that they have in their own life, whether it be service related or whether it be just called to a specific mission to take care of folks who are end of life.
Yeah.
And sometimes that is more satisfying. Obviously, money pays the bills and benefits takes care of those things from a retirement standpoint. But a lot of times it's that, and we kind of joke about that. But in an interview, if there are tears shed because that person is remembering an experience that they had, that's usually not a one-to-one sign, but it's a sign that person has that empathy, that they have that heart to work in hospice.
Well, I always tell people that morale falls from the top. You don't build morale. And Denise has started out as visiting nurse. So you understand when you go in a home and the door closes, it's you and the person who's ill. You don't have a backup, you don't have an office, you don't have fax machines, if they still have fax machines. But, you don't have the equipment that normally has. So you understand the nurses going in, you understand housekeeping, and the volunteers as well. When you talk about a calling, so many of our volunteers are there because of their experience, and that conveys.
Well, and it's interesting, Ron, because, as part of our orientation, our new employees get to talk to different people in the organization, and I get to go in and talk with them and tell them a little bit about what I do. And we talk about philanthropy, and we talk about the fact that there are not big philanthropists or small philanthropists. If they give just to anything, a few dollars a year, they're philanthropists.
Don't tell my pastor that. I give $3 a year. But go ahead.
Well, and the fact that, we've all done fundraising. If we have children who have grown up in the school system, we've done fundraising. That kind of transactional thing where, if you buy this much candy from me, I'll buy this much wrapping paper from you. So it's that kind of thing. But what we do and what our staff does, it's more about relationships. They build those relationships with their patients, with their families, and so many times they want to do something in return. They want to pay it forward. They want to make sure that the next people who need this service, that we're here for them. And I know I've said this many times before too. I've done different kinds of fundraising in my career, and this is the first time I've worked for a hospice. And Denise and I have known each other for several years, and when I was doing fundraising in other venues, I would say, I don't understand. People just give to you, and you don't even have to ask. And I said, and she goes, oh my goodness, she goes, it's our staff. And I never understood till I came here, and now I understand.
Well, and even one other thing that we learned this fall, from a leadership side, we decided that Fairhope would have a presence at the Fairfield County livestock sale, and to go there and see as many of those youth 4-H members donating a portion, some of them large portions, 50% of their proceeds back to Fairhope because a grandmother or a mother or an aunt or some other relation had passed on our service was pretty impactful.
Yeah, and the idea or the concept that we don't charge, everybody wants to know what the trick is. There is no trick. It's you give first and you get second. And we give first. Our staff gives. Everybody gives. And then people think, I got to do something. And it comes back. And like Ricky says, the donations just come in. Part of her job is opening the door and getting the mail. Because here it comes,
Yeah.
But it is earned. It's not, it's just people want to say thank you somehow.
They do.
Yeah. So it's a great place to work, and we're going to have to take a break here in a few minutes. Denise Bauer, Ricky Chenault, Rob Rowley, Mr. Bow Tie.
Bow Tie.
I can have to go get a bow tie for the next show. But,
I got one you can borrow, Rick.
You don't have to tie it, do you?
No.
I like the snap-ons. But anyway, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to be right back.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our two locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Fairfield Medical goes the extra mile to give attention to their patients, to their guests, anybody that comes within those doors.
There's no question that the staff there are all personally invested in seeing that I got the best care possible.
The staff was so comforting. I felt like she was in the best hands.
They basically gave me a second chance at life, and I'm going to make the most of it.
Welcome to the Dream Machine. Like to be part of the Dream Machine, keep me busy, and it's also important that we do it together as a group, and we plow and plant, and we have lots of produce. We have tomatoes like one here, and gourds, cucumbers, squash, kohlrabi, beets, microgreens. We also have flower arrangement, and we also sell bags, those tote bags out of animal food bags, and we sell them out in the market, farmer's market.
It's a special place that keeps people healthy by eating a couple fruits and vegetables. I always show people, first time they pick raspberries and green beans, I show them how to do it like they do it wrong. Picking raspberries and green beans is simplest, easy for me. We're entering some things in the field like pumpkins, the gourds were growing, and everyone likes them. Tasty.
Hi, and welcome back. My name is Rick Schneider, community educator with Fairhope Hospice and Palliative Care, and we have a good second half coming up. That was a good first half. I enjoyed it. Joining me is Denise Bauer, our CEO, Ricky Chenault, who's our development director, and Ron Rowley, human resources. And during the commercial break, I asked them for a raise, and so we're still pending on that.
So working on that.
But yeah, Denise, we have a lot of stuff coming up through the year. You know, we were
We really
talking
do.
about, you know, we had like the Cookie Walk is in early December, and the Tree of Remembrance, and those are both fundraisers.
Yeah, well, and they are, but somewhat the events are also to increase awareness and to get out and greet the community. Now, the Tree of Remembrance is the first Wednesday of December, always, and it's here at the Pickering House, 282 Sells Road, and that is actually a time where people can remember loved ones. And yeah, a lot of people that have been on hospice are involved with it, but you don't have to have been on hospice. Anybody can come in. And for me, it's kind of a very nice event. To me, it's what really kicks off the holiday season. So we have Thanksgiving. The Pickering House gets decorated by our wonderful volunteers. We walk in, you know, the Monday after Thanksgiving, and then here it is. It's all beautiful. And then the Tree of Remembrance is a time for us to really remember those that have been important in our lives. And so we do have music, we have some snacks, it's free, it usually lasts about 45 minutes to an hour, so anybody is welcome, the public's welcome to attend. Starts at 6 o'clock p.m. on the first Wednesday of December always, and we have a lot of activities during that event. I know we're going to have ornaments again, right?
Yes,
Vicki?
yes, we're selling the ornaments, and you know, it does bring in a little bit of funds, but not much. It's really more something we do for our families, giving them an opportunity to put an ornament on the tree in remembrance of their loved ones. And in the past, we've done angels and snowflakes, and we still do those. This year, we're introducing a new one, and it's an ornament that has a little saying on it and a cardinal, because the belief is that when the cardinal appears, it's your loved one there as a remembrance.
If I can interrupt, sometimes I don't think that's a saying. I've seen it so many times when somebody was talking about a deceased, or I've seen them at the Pickering House. The cardinals out there.
Yes.
We have seen it.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, and that's a good ornament.
Oh, and you know, and there was a whole story, because this year when we're doing our year-end giving, what we're doing is we're focusing on our children's grief services. And in the letter that we're sending out, that Denise is sending out, is a story about a young man who was very disappointed that his grandfather had passed while he was in school, and he didn't want to go to school. He wanted to stay with his grandfather, but you know, of course, he had to go. And so he passed while he was away, and he was very upset. And so he was talking with our grief support employees, and they explained to him, you know, Tracy explained to him that sometimes our loved ones wait for us to leave, that they want us to remember them in a certain way. And so she was telling this to this boy, and evidently a cardinal appeared at the window, and you know, it was just like all of his sadness and everything just kind of went, oh, now I understand. And so, you know, so that cardinal is something that's very important. So we've introduced that ornament this year, and I think that it's probably going to be very, very popular. But people come in, and you were saying, that the actual Tree of Remembrance ceremony is the first part of December. But I would like to invite people to come in any time in December to see the tree, and we would love to take you on a tour of our facility if you've never been here, because the first time people see what we have to offer, they're just amazed. And I love to have people come in anytime to see what it is we have.
Talk about the Christmas decorations. They're incredible, but they're not gaudy. I mean, it's a lot of pine, a lot of the red ribbons, maybe some white lights, but it's just awe-inspiring. I mean, it is really something.
Well, the other thing, and you brought up a great point, Ricky, is that we invite people to come in throughout the holiday season. And the ornaments that we have, people don't have to purchase an ornament to come to the Tree of Remembrance. But if they'd like to, they can either take the ornament home, and they personalize them with whatever person's name that you would like to remember can be put on the ornament. And then we can also invite people to hang them on the tree, Tree of Remembrance, or like I said, take them home, come back at the end of the season and pick them up. But a lot of people have bought them every year as a remembrance, and that it's that gift that you can give when you don't know what to get someone. Right. A very affordable gift, and it's something that I know our family's collected them over the years at different times, with loved ones that have passed that year or whatever. And so it's kind of a nice remembrance. You get that ornament out and you remember that person. But it is nice, and we really continue this throughout Christmas. So anybody can come to the Pickering House lobby and purchase an ornament. We can get that personalized for you.
Absolutely.
And it's a great gift too.
We were talking about the decorating of the Pickering House, and really it's done by volunteers.
Yes, it is.
And Ron's involved with the whole process. You get to know the volunteers, and that's one of the many things people. If you want to be a volunteer, we can use all sorts of things.
Yeah, in all forms or fashion, and depending on what that is that you enjoy to do, whether that's community activities or fairs or set up, tear down. We have several gentlemen who love to help with painting and yard work and landscaping and taking care of things outside. So there are opportunities across the board for volunteers, and we have a tremendous volunteer staff. And Twyla Summers, who leads that group. We have recently just collected blankets. Our volunteers had made blankets for all of our hospice patients. So the first part of December we will be passing out over probably 150 blankets to hospice patients, and then an additional amount to palliative patients and also our senior care patients as well.
Well, I like to volunteer, and I'm kind of specializing in it as a food volunteer. Because we have a lot of banquets. We have, I wouldn't say spontaneous, but we'll have cookouts or burrito breakfast through the year. We have just a lot of things to show appreciation to everybody. Candy, it's all over the place.
Potlucks.
Yeah,
Right.
we have the potlucks and the crock pot things, and it is really, I would say, a fun place to work, but it is very satisfying. And everybody gets together. We were talking about the Penny Wars as a fundraiser, but still, it's just that intermixing of everybody. And
it's getting to know people on the admin side, because where I sit and what I do, I don't get a lot of interaction with the clinical side. But when we have these potlucks and these other employee-based things, it gives me an opportunity to get to know them a little bit better and for them to get to know me. And it's when you work in a 24/7 environment like we do, there's a lot of people that come and go. So this, having our HR department give us opportunities to get together and get to know one another a little bit better is always very good for team building.
And what kind? I guess we talk about our staff. What selection of duties are there? Do we have nurses, RNs, or LPNs?
Yeah. So on the clinical side, we have STNAs, nursing assistants. We have licensed practical nurses, LPNs. We have RNs.
My wife was, and she said I was a low-paid nurse.
Oh, is that what you
said?
said?
Licensed practical. Okay, I didn't realize that.
And then we have our nurse practitioners, and then we have our medical directors as well from the clinical side. In addition to that, we have social workers. that we consider on a clinical side.
Okay, I guess, and I interrupt you, we also have the chaplains.
Chaplains as well, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think people don't realize that as much. The social workers really provide a good service.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they really do provide a real connective service from clinical all the way through, even through that counseling through grief, even providing some of that service as well.
And I know our chaplains, they handle what strictly, I'll say, spiritual. Because we have, I think Kermit said 16 different belief systems, not just Christian, but Jewish and all the way through, Native American. He said there's 2 different spiritual belief systems in the Native American community. And we're open to everybody.
Absolutely.
And I guess when you are looking for a chaplain, that comes into it, doesn't it?
It does, and that is that's a very difficult find, because there is some of that's ingrained in that faith, in just relating to people, and being able to be conversational, and breaking down some of those barriers that allow people to feel more at ease and comfortable in that time of need.
Yeah, that is a touchy subject. Going back to the social workers, it's kind of interesting because people in a crisis, they don't think of where the DNR, power of attorney, and all those kind of things are. So it's interesting, the variety of people we have. And then I would say the specialty. I was talking to a group of social worker students class over at the branch not too long ago, and some of them were going into family dynamics, if you want to call it that. There's all different areas of social work, and we more or less encompass everything. At the end of life, we have dysfunctional families. We do have people who need legal work done. We have people with all sorts of people out of state. What do we do if they live in Illinois but they're in Ohio right now? There's all sorts of things that the social worker does. And I think that's part of everybody here. That's what attracts us. Yeah. It's a variety.
It's that whole interdisciplinary team approach that, from soup to nuts, all the way through that, where that family can be at ease. They can have their questions answered, and if not directly by one of our staff members, then we can direct them to an appropriate source to get that information.
It always reminds me of a football game. The quarterback's supposed to get the ball and he passes it to the running back. If he fumbles it, anybody can pick it up. And that's what we do. If something needs to be picked up, anybody here can do it. I don't perform surgery, but I can talk to somebody until a nurse arrives. We can all pitch in one way or the other.
And getting to know one another as we do with the different events that we talked about, and the potlucks and everything. Just this past summer we had an instance where one of our nurses was out, and she came back knowing that we had a family who was in need of what we were saying earlier, of some things that go beyond what our mission is. Actually, this particular patient needed an air conditioner. She was suffering with, a respiratory illness and needed an air conditioner. Well, how do we take care of that patient? It's something that they need, but it's not something you can write a prescription for. So, with the monies that come in through the cookie walk, through the donations we talked about, through that urine giving, we have a memorial fund, and that memorial fund can help our patients in different ways. And this was one of them, to be able to purchase an air conditioner and have it put in for their comfort.
And, I guess technically that wasn't involved with a terminal illness. It was a comfort measure. I guess it would be debatable. But we jumped right on it.
But our memorial fund covers all of those kind of things. Anything that the patient needs for comfort care. And that definitely was part of it.
Oh, yeah. And that's also played something as incidental as getting a donut from Donut World. If they need something, we'll do it, period. And it is kind of interesting. My experience is that most of the end-of-life wishes are more or less end-of-life whims. One more donut, one more dilly bar, one guy we rented a limousine, I remember a couple years ago, and he went all the way around Lancaster to see the Eagles, to see the Masonic Lodge, to see FMC, just all the places, and the VFW, just wanted to see him one more time. And the Memorial Fund allows us to do those simple little things. So I guess we're going to have to wrap up the show. I was just getting started here. We'll have to make this into an hour show one of these days. But it's been very good. Ricky Chenault, thank you for being a guest. Rob Rowley, our human director.
Human director.
So if we don't have humans, somebody else directs them. But he directs all our humans. Denise Bauer, our CEO. And I'd like to remind everybody to celebrate life.
Interface Video presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fairhope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and the Frankie Smith Funeral Home.